Yo, how's it going everybody? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be talking about Shenhe and how she actually isn't a bad character. She might be a little bit underpowered, at least in terms of what her beta kit is right at the moment. However, I'm very hopeful that she's actually going to get a little bit of tweaks before initial release, and so we can actually kind of expect that she's actually going to be a little bit more viable once she actually releases. But nonetheless, people are still kind of mad that she's not really that great in terms of her damage multipliers. I know her ult is definitely very low on the actual damage multipliers, and those are at like really low numbers. But honestly, I think she's actually pretty viable, and the gameplay that you're seeing in the background right now is basically my team comp for Shenhe, and basically the general like team rotations that I'm going to be using for Shenhe. I'm also going to be making a Shenhe with like Chongyun and kind of like team comp guide, basically discussing the proper rotations for that team comp. Basically that includes like Constellation 1 and whatnot. But basically what we're covering in today's video is how she's actually going to be relatively viable in a few different situations and just under a certain conditions, I would say. First up, in terms of her auto attacks, she honestly is actually pretty average in terms of her actual auto attack damage scaling. It's right here, but at like level 10, she basically gets her first hit as 97% right here, which isn't actually that bad really. It's kind of on par with some of the other characters of this polearm category, I would say. One thing to keep in note is that her charge attack damage multiplier was a little bit low, but once again, these stuff can like actually change before final release. In terms of her ult, it's not really that high of a damage scaling in terms of its actual skill damage. It's only like 181% and then 59% damage over time in this ult. It's really not that great, especially with such a high burst cost. It doesn't seem very well balanced, at least at the moment. And then another thing, her first ascension passive right here is actually terrible, because it's like it basically, once you cast your ult, you're gonna get 10% cryo damage bonus. But the thing is that Ganyu has a passive very similar to this, except her ult is on a 60 energy cost, and it gives you 20% cryo damage bonus if you're inside of it. So it's like literally just a worse version of that. So I'm actually thinking that this is going to be actually changed to be more in line with other things. But really, Shenhe's main purpose is actually to be like a support for cryo characters, basically giving them an icy quill type stack, and the icy quill is basically just going to give you a little bit more damage on top of the damage that you're already doing with like your cryo damage attacks. And so she definitely only really works with actual other cryo characters, and she's not really that great of a standalone character unless you're going to plan on using her as a cryo team support. Basically, you can do some pretty crazy stuff if you actually pop her like icy quills basically before you're going to swap to other characters that do a bunch of cryo damage. For example, being like Chongyun, which is the character that I'm basically planning on using. But she can also work with like other characters like Ganyu and also a Yaka. Is that she was basically rumored to be like a Eula support, but she's not really much of a Eula support, considering that all the benefits she's actually bringing is only that extra like 15% resistance shred for physical res. But generally, physical res definitely starts dropping off in terms of actual usability after a certain amount, and that's the easiest thing to get in the game pretty much. And so really the main thing with Shenhe is that people are dissatisfied with her kit at the moment, but she's not actually fully released, so it's hard to tell exactly if she's going to be viable or not at this point in time. However, she's got some pretty good team comp viability, at least in terms of the freeze comp with like other characters like Chongyun and whatnot. Basically, she's got her very niche kind of slot if you are planning on actually using her. And that's all I can say at the moment, but she's not a bad character. She just needs a little bit more tweaking before release and to actually be more viable with like the rest of the cast of characters in the game. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. A like down below is definitely very much appreciated. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I will see you guys in the next one. Farewell.